What lie could have ruined your life? My husband and I had been trying for a baby for 3 years. Month after month of disappointment slowly broke us down. It got to a point where I'd take pregnancy tests in secret, just to avoid watching the hope rise and fall in his eyes. Then one morning, I was a few days late. I took a test before work. There was a faint second line. I stared at it in disbelief. It was barely visible, but it was there. I didn't tell him right away. I didn't want to get his hopes up only to crush them again. I figured I'd wait a day, take another test, and confirm it. But that night, he found the test in the trash. He came into the room holding it, eyes wide with hope I hadn't seen in years. Is this real? I froze. I should have told the truth. I should have said, maybe, but I couldn't bear to wipe the joy off his face. So I nodded. I smiled. And just like that, we were celebrating. We called our parents. We cried. He held me and said it felt like our lives were finally beginning. We went out the next day and bought a tiny pair of baby shoes. I told myself I'd take a better test tomorrow, and then I'd tell him if it wasn't real. But the next morning, my period started. I sat in the bathroom for an hour, staring at the red. I was heartbroken, but somehow I couldn't bring myself to tell him. I thought, it's fine. It's just bad timing. I'll be pregnant soon. I'll fix this. So I doubled down. I faked morning sickness. I'd sneak away in the mornings and pretend to vomit, then splash water on my face and lie back in bed, pretending to feel weak. I downloaded pregnancy tracker apps and recited symptoms I read online. I started stuffing my clothes to show a growing bump. He was so happy, and I was so trapped. When it came time for ultrasounds, I told him the clinic only allowed one person in, due to updated protocols. I found fake sonogram images online, printed them, and brought them home. I told him the baby looked perfect. He cried when I showed him the first picture. 6 months in, he started putting his hand on my belly at night, hoping to feel a kick. I'd wait until he was asleep to sob silently beside him. I said the baby must be facing inward, that some pregnancies were just different. The guilt was unbearable, but I didn't know how to stop without tearing everything down. Then one night, he made dinner and told me how excited he was to be a dad. He talked about building the crib, said he wanted to paint the nursery next weekend. He was glowing, so full of love, and I just broke. I collapsed in the kitchen and started crying so hard I couldn't breathe. He rushed to me, panicking, asking what was wrong, and I told him everything, every lie, every detail. I expected screaming. I expected him to walk out, but he didn't. He sat down beside me and pulled me into his arms. I sobbed until I couldn't speak. When I finally looked up, he had tears in his eyes too. And then he said, I knew something wasn't right. I've suspected for months, but I didn't want to say anything because I thought maybe you were holding on to it for your own sanity. We went to therapy after that. It wasn't easy. I didn't deserve his grace, but he gave it anyway. He said he understood that it didn't come from malice. It came from heartbreak, and we rebuilt, slowly, painfully. But we did. 2 years later, I got pregnant for real. Our daughter is 4 now. She's bright and beautiful and stubborn in all the best ways. And every once in a while when she's asleep in my arms, I remember the weight of the lie that almost ruined us and the forgiveness that saved us.